Alright, hey guys, welcome. This is my little video of Melvor Idol, something I've never really done before. Let me just start off with some background music. I usually do like to have a little bit of medieval music playing in the background. I'm just going to be playing the copyright-free ones for this video because, it's a YouTube video, right? You gotta be careful. But yeah, thanks to the person who made these music, I will be crediting them in the comments, or rather the, I guess, what am I saying? In like the description of this video, and you guys could grab some of those for yourself. It's always nice to have some little bit of medieval music playing in the background. It's kind of the appeal I feel when I go through my Melvor days. But yeah, it's been I think about 3 years I've been playing this game, maybe slightly more. I think this game came out like 4 or 5 years back. But I picked it up a little bit later. I did know when it initially released, I did drop into it to check. I think that was late 2019 or something, maybe 2020. But I remember the pandemic was spent mostly just having this game in the background, always passively just building on it in the browser while I play my main game or my main stuff, or even a day at work, I would just start off by just setting things up on this and then checking it towards the end of my day at work and seeing how things have gone. And that's been pretty nice because Melvor was in fact released for people who don't really have time to play, full-on games heavily, right? But it's been great. A lot of things have changed and this game has grown over the years. They've released two expansions, both of which I have purchased. I do also have the full version of the game, so it will be different if you guys are picking this up for the first time. But this will be a bit about what you have to know about the game, what are the things I like about the game, what are the things that you could use as a reference to decide if you want to do things a certain way, you want to pick up certain specific add-ons, what do you call these mods, you want to buy specific expansions and you want to get some tips on those. Yeah, so this will be sort of my video or my version of it. There are not many YouTubers who are covering Melvor, I believe, because it's just a small game compared to so many other things out there. But I really, really love it and I enjoy it, and I have been following a lot of the dev streams lately that have seemed to be great. I think Melvor really has its future very well planned out. Like, they don't want to be the biggest game in the world. That's not their idea. They just want to serve the people who have this niche in playing idle games in the background while they go about their day. And I think Melvor will stand the test of time because it's on browser, it's on mobile, it's on Steam, it's on all the accessible platforms that you really want to just keep, either in your background or something that's anyone can pick up basically, and it's great that way. Melvor is free to start, and then you can sort of buy the full version of the game, and I highly recommend you do because it's a one-off purchase. There were no paid sort of locked content by paying for it. The game is not pay to win. You can't just pay to, progress your way through the game. But mods do help you, and the way the game is designed is such that you can actually completely break the game by just leveling up to the max. Although that is obviously not the best way to play the game. As you can see, I barely scraped completing all of my level ups, and I have, yes, sort of ended up with Cartography and Archaeology, and I will show you guys how those two new game modes work. But before that, let me just go through with you what the base game is about and what the expansions do. So, Atlas of Discovery is the latest expansion. It just came out. It basically added two new game modes, Cartography and Archaeology, and it improved a bunch of existing content. It did make Township a little bit more difficult because I think the devs felt that Township was progressing a little too fast. Township is part of the base game. It was just recently added. That's for Atlas of Discovery. That's pretty much it. It's the latest expansion, gives two new game modes, a bunch of upgrades and changes. But don't underestimate that, oh, it's just two new modes compared to all the others. It seems a little bit small. No, it's not. These two game modes are absolutely massive because of the way the cartography is designed. It creates this huge map, sort of Path of Exile style, but just even better because the map looks amazing. And I'm sure they'll be able to release more maps in this method, which means that this mode alone can have multiple modes and keep expanding. And also on this map, as you can see, there's plenty of waypoints, there's like points of interest, there's a lot of things to look at, a lot of things to discover, and until you've really spent a lot of time studying the map and going through things, I think it's too soon to say that, oh, it's just a small game mode. There's just so much going on, and it'll take a bit of time for you to digest it, for you to understand what happens here, and I will go through those in a bit. And as for archaeology, it sort of works in tandem with cartography. And now, before you freak out as to how I'm able to do both at the same time, that is actually a mod which I'll be explaining to you guys. It's one of the best mods that I've ever found in the game, and I will go through with you how that works. But anyway, archaeology is basically works together with cartography, where the sites you discover in cartography will become dig sites where you can actually go and dig. You will discover certain artifacts at specific sites, and you can send those artifacts to the museum. And placing those artifacts in the museum will allow you to unlock little gifts, little hidden items, and also some buffs. And the checkpoints don't reveal much. Like if I go to the mastery points, it doesn't really reveal exactly what you discover. So that's kind of unique. I would like to know what exactly we discover from this. Let me just see if I can see the buffs itself. Um, hmm. No, it doesn't show me the buffs itself. But anyway, I will go through the mods in a bit to explain to you guys all the other buffs that I have going on. But yeah, these are these two game modes. They're pretty fun, pretty interesting so far. I'm liking it, and also just in a way, if they do come up with another expansion, I'm just buying it right away because I've been having so much fun in this game, having it passively run in the background, progressing over time gradually. It's very single player, so it's at your own pace. You can enjoy it however you like. You can do it however you like to progress. Um, Unfortunately, if you are a completionist, you don't have a choice but to explore every single type of game mode. So you do have to play with melee attacks, range attacks, and magic attacks all if you want to truly unlock all the stuff in the game to get the completionist sort of route. You want to get everything 100% and you want to be able to unlock all the items in the game. You have to do everything and you have to learn every skill. There's no way like, oh, I just want to be a mage and I just want to do magic related stuff and I don't want to do fletching, I don't want to do ranged. You can't really do it that way because there are certain game modes and dungeons that are locked behind you having certain types of attack styles, and that's very important to note. So this is a game where you have to do everything, but you will enjoy doing it, and the game sort of helps you through it in various ways. But I think the two newest game modes are the most visually impressive because of this beautiful, gorgeous map here with all these little points. And I think if the game started off like this, I would fall even more in love with it because it has so much more to explore and do. And I'm really interested in having the game mode dungeons in this style. Like now it's exploration where you actually go to different places and you get dig sites, but what if in the future you go to different places and you unlock a dungeon that you actually get to battle? So you're sort of exploring the territory almost in an RPG style exploration, and you could still take time surveying it to unlock the places, but at least you'll get to go, like for example, this castle should have been something where I can go to and just straight up deal with the monster there. So you can see point of interest, Castle of Kings, is an awe-inspiring site maintained impeccably but for countless years. The knights who train within these walls are renowned as the finest in the realm. The castle houses numerous knightly orders, each boasting unique customs and training techniques. Daily the knights hone their abilities in the courtyard, engaging in fierce combat and assessing their prowess. Upon entering, you are greeted with warm welcomes and are offered a generous gift to commemorate your visit. You gain one knight's cape and one gold mithril plate body. And this seems awesome, but what if the events turned out the other way where we actually end up having to, it says you're not greeted with a warm welcome, you're instead greeted with a sword, and you have to duel your way out of this castle if you want to continue progressing, and so you actually have to battle, and that'll be pretty awesome. Or it's a challenge that you realize that, oh, this place is actually controlled by undead and you can't progress unless you want to battle your way through this, and you battle it to unlock whatever item it's supposed to give you. That would be pretty awesome, and I really would like to see that as a game mode in the future. Perhaps just like cartography, but something like, I don't know, uh, Darklands exploration or something like that, right? Or undead lands exploration. I don't know, something cool, some name they can come up with, I guess, that will help to really encourage players to explore these kinds of maps and find creepy and exciting stuff that's all hidden everywhere. That would be pretty awesome. Now let me just see if I can move back. Did I go too far? I don't think I went too far. This is where I am, right? Discover the abandoned mine first. Okay, fine, whatever. Let me just travel there. Travel now, sure. Travel now. Okay, I'm just unlocking all these point of interests which I've got to travel to. Show discovery. Okay, let me just see. Let me go here. Travel here. And let me see if there's anything to survey here. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Let me just keep this aside first and then go through with you the other one. Throne of the Herald was a bit interesting. It was very much just increasing the base game with way more information, more mods, and the Township upgrade came along, and that was kind of cool, kind of interesting. I think it came in tandem, but it did add a lot of things that worked together. Like in a sense, Township is the upgrade to the base game that has this passive world that's running in the background, which you sort of treat like your little town, and your town grows as you play the game, and you get to donate stuff to your town to help it. So, for example, all of these stats are complete. I can't see it, but okay, let me just pick some casual task. So, for example, in the casual task, if let's say I were to defeat these 10 visits with a willow shortbow, it gives these XP to the town, it gives the skill XP, and it gives me some rewards. And some of these give me better rewards, like for example, it gives me some bones, some bank slots. These are all pretty impressive rewards because they're higher level stuff. The easy, normal, hard, very hard give like a little bit simpler gifts and whatnot. But yeah, Throne of the Herald had a lot of unique rewards, a lot of fun stuff. And as you can see, the one thing I have not done is defeat the Herald themselves, which I will be probably doing soon. But it's the last thing that I'm just keeping aside. I wanted to explore what Atlas of Discovery is about, so that's kind of interesting. Atlas of Discovery introduced, as you can see, a lot of new monsters as well, on top of what Throne of Herald already did. So there's a lot of new dungeon monsters and whatnot to explore. It also added the two new game modes that I mentioned. But yeah, overall, it's been pretty amazing. It's a very, very good expansion. Probably better than Throne of the Herald so far, but Throne of the Herald just seems interesting because of the story itself. That has been pretty cool, pretty well built. As you can see, this is the Throne of the Herald dungeon, which I have to do. I've completed almost everything else. But there are new dungeons that have shown up as part of the Atlas of Discovery expansion, so those are all highlighted here. So I have all the modes and all the two expansions with the base game, and it still allows you to hop in as a new player and do things at your own pace. You can add the expansions at a later time and still enjoy it, and that's kind of awesome. I really like the way they put a lot of thought into helping the new players enjoy the game at their own pace as well, and to be able to join in and enjoy any of the expansions, either one. And I think there's a lot of thought process put into things like that, because a lot of other games, they have the expansions, but you have to play one or the other. It's difficult to integrate them both. You have to complete the base game before you start the expansions. But there are also games that are able to incorporate all the three, and Melvor is able to do that as well, and that's kind of impressive. And I'm always have huge respect for devs that are actually putting a lot of thought into things like these. But yeah, it's been great. They've done a good job in that. Now, as for how the game is for new players and how the game goes out, let me just explain to you. So there's this shop that you have. It's all in-game currency. Everything has to be farmed within the game itself. Gold is your main currency. As you can see, I have 8 billion gold. That is correct. You will be able to farm this up over time. Hitting your first billion may seem a little bit difficult, but once you start to do higher level township quests and you are able to farm higher level monsters, gold is going to be the easiest thing for you to get. The second thing is Slayer coins. It's a little bit more difficult to get early on in the game because you won't be doing as much Slayer tasks. You will be finding it difficult to get consumables and resources and potions and stuff. But once you have all that farmed, Slayer coins will be just pouring in, especially if you use things like the Cyclops summon, which allows you to gain more Slayer coins. And then there are other items as well that increase your Slayer coins gain, and that's very important. And the shop has a bunch of things that allow you to upgrade your general stuff, your skill upgrades that allow you to do more of your combat and non-combat tasks. Slayer, which is specific to combat, but not just normal combat. It's a sort of adventure style combat where you gain like opportunities to do tasks that are random, and you need to do those tasks at random in order to gain the coins. You can re-roll the tasks. Like for example, if I were to go to Slayer, these areas here are just to level up. They don't really help you gain any points. To do the points, you gotta go here to Slayer task that is in your combat screen, jump to an enemy, and that's how you do it. And if you want to pick a new task, you can select a random difficulty to re-roll the task at, but you don't know what monster you will find, and that's kind of where there's a little bit of RNG involved. So you find a good monster to fight, you fight it, and if you don't want to fight it, you want to find a specific other monster, you have to re-roll that level of task. So you're going to need a lot of points, as you can see, to re-roll, but as you level up and are able to adapt yourself to that difficulty, you can do that a little bit easier. Gloves are something that's useful for a very early game. They help you with certain non-combat skills, but later on they're quite useless. Skill capes are very good when you reach level 99 on a specific skill and you want a boost to that skill itself. Now, usually when you are level 99 in a specific skill, you don't really need to boost it that much, unless it's a skill that helps another skill. So for example, Firemaking skill cape gives you a cape that gives 5% global skill XP. This is huge because unlocking level 99 in Firemaking first will give you a cape that allows you to level up all your other skills faster, and that's massive. It also gives you 100% to receive coal, which you will use for your smithing, and it also gives you 100% to receive ash, which I think you can use to craft urns that help you with your prayer. And so Firemaking is one of the best skills to max out early on in the game. It's also a difficult skill to do because you will need to have woodcutting first. Um, and you also need to do a little bit of herbology to get some potions so that you can keep the fire going even when you're passively farming. Now, a lot of these things can be eased out with mods, and I will explain how that works. But if you just want to play without mods as well, I guess it's still true that the fire making skill is the best. Because initially I played without mods all the way to level, I think it was 90s, and then it was too much of a grind. I got some mods in and sped up the game for me. And I'll explain to you how it speeds up the game without ruining the experience. But yeah, this is one of the better capes that you can get initially. But once you 99 everything else, the other good capes that you can possibly get is the defense skill cape, which gives plus 80 to all defense, and this is good for any kind of combat. So it's best combat cape, I think. The other capes are okay, but of course the maximum skill cape is the best when you have 99 in all base game skills. And once you've completed the base game, you can get Cape of Completion, which is the best cape overall. Now, this is for the regular skill capes. There's now the superior skill capes, which allow you to push the game up to level 120. Now you have to get this by unlocking any of the what do you call this, expansions, but the game is now expanded to level 120, and so you'll be able to get the higher level skill capes when you have them all at 120. As you can see, I have everything at 120 already, so I get the superior max skill cape. I do not have to have cartography or archaeology at 120 because those are part of the new expansion and they don't affect the the base game itself, so you don't need to worry about that. And music is a separate mod, so you can ignore that for now. So, in this case, similar, superior fire making skill cape is still the best if you want to get something initially because it gives you plus 8% global skill XP, 100% receive coal, 100% receive ash, and 100% receive charcoal, which is another item that is useful generally. Now, moving on to defense-wise, yes, you get the plus 5 reflect damage. I have found this reasonable, not that great. It's not as good as the plus 80 defense, I feel, because with 80 defense you just take less damage. Overall, you save on food, you save on the time needed to eat, and that doesn't reset your skill as much. Reflect damage is where you do take the damage still, but you just reflect a bit of it, and 5% is quite small overall. It may be useful against higher level bosses where you're able to tank more damage, so you can reflect higher amounts of damage. So that's nice, but when you're just generally farming, you want fast-paced combat, so you just want defense boost overall. But of course, if you get the superior max skill cape, it's similar to the max skill cape, except it goes all the way to 120 level of skills, so that's pretty awesome. Atlas of Discovery introduced some new skill capes and some new items which are very specific to the Atlas of Discovery, so that is something to keep in mind. So these things will boost out your Atlas of Discovery stuff only, but I do want to test out once I reach 120 in both of these whether my superior skill cape actually affects them. But right now I know it does not because I'm able to see the buffs, and I'll show you how that works in a bit. But in the future, if you do want to get anything here, it's specific to these two. So if you want to swap it out while you're working on those two, that'll be pretty awesome. Materials and items is something that you gradually use overall in the game. The food stuff, not as much. You'll use them early on, yes, but not so much later. Feathers you use quite a bit because, as you can see, it's mostly for fletching, and you do need to use feathers to make arrows. So it's one of the reasons I have a lot of them. Compost is another thing that you use quite a bit, which you will turn into weird gloop when you can, because compost is like something you use for basic farming, and weird gloop is like a more compressed version of compost, so you have more what do you call this, like you improve your farming overall, but you have to consume quite a bit of compost to get the weird gloop going. But you do want to turn all of them into weird gloop when you can. It's just better that way. Bowstring is also used in fletching, so it works together with feathers. Leather is used generally for a lot of crafting work, so you will be needing quite a bit of it. Green, blue, and red dragon hide is something that you will need for general crafting as well, but you can farm these by killing dragons. Summoning shards are one of the things you'll use most throughout the game, all the way to the end game, because you will be doing a lot of summoning, not just when you're fighting, but also for non-combat skills. Summoning does help, so you could use a lot of summoning for those. I mainly use them for combat skills, because it's what I do most of the time. All the non-combat stuff is working passively in the background, so I don't not too bothered with it, and I will show you how to do them passively. And red party hat, as it says, +1 for bragging rights, so you just want to get one of it just to get the found sort of what do you call this, like completionist kind of thing, because in a completion lot you do need to find one of all the items, so you need 100% of all the items, and red party hat is in fact one of them. Yes, it is 2 billion gold to get one of these, so you will need to be really really rich to get it, but you will get it, so don't worry, over time all that comes to pass. But yeah, that's for the shop. The bank is pretty straightforward. You have very customizable tabs. It's all manual here where you have to move stuff around by yourself. It doesn't automatically put things into tabs. There may be a mod to do that, but I don't have it. So I do move stuff around by myself. I put all the stuff I want to sell into one tab, and I lock those things that I don't want to sell. And the base tab, I always leave it sort of flexible because I may get new drops in here. So the first tab, you don't want to use it for storing things because you always get new items dropping into it, and you don't want to get it confused with all of the items you've already found. So items you already found, you can sort it out into the tabs that you like. This is how I have mine sorted. People sort these things out in their own weird ways, so it's a good reason not to overdo this, I would say, and let people just figure it out as they like. But yeah, I do have one new tab that I've sort of put together for archaeology, and the latest one, which is for the new gem slot, which I'll be explaining in a bit. The last tab I'm just keeping for all the special book notes that you find when you complete certain dungeons. As you can see, I have all of these. This is part of the actual story, the lore itself, which is pretty awesome. Especially this first book, Tale of the Past, really got me excited when I got to see all of the gods that you'll battle as time goes on, and that's kind of cool. This one's a little bit more boring, but the text is pretty cool in the sense where, as you read through it, just like a book, which a lot of people have given up on, right? A lot of people don't really read books these days because they're all blocked with short attention spans. But I really enjoyed this. I still read some books when I'm free, and I found this really enjoyable, very mysterious, very interesting, and this is a new dawn that comes, and then the impending darkness event, which is really, really awesome. So that's for the shop and the bank. I do have some mods that allow me to see the total value of each of my tabs. So as you can see, I do have another easily 10 billion gold if I sell all of these. Maybe more, 12, 15, I think. But yeah, it's kind of a lot of gold that you do accumulate over time with your items. I'm just stocking up in case I need to use them for something. But you can just sell most of it if you like. Now, let's move on to combat. So how combat works is you have different skills that all affect combat, but the main things you have to understand is the three types of combat. And you can see those modifiers. I don't have the modifier button, but you will be able to see them when you start attacking something. So for example, let me just attack. Hmm, let me just do, I don't know, one of these monsters, I guess. Let's see. This is a barrier monster. This is a bit difficult. I do have a Pokemon mod, so I will show that to you Pokemon fans out there how to go about that. Alright, let's just try this. This is a barrier monster, which means only summons can attack them. My attacks themselves don't do anything, so there's no reason for me to have any spells equipped. Just unequip those. Um, Wait, what? Why can't I unequip the spell? Okay, I don't know. I think you have to have some spell running, but whatever. It doesn't matter because this is killed by summons. Okay, so when you have a area that you're attacking, so for example, now I'm attacking this blind warrior guy. I get to decide what of the three attack types I use. So you can see it when you're attacking them that there is a attack triangle, magic versus melee. Magic has advantage when you're attacking melee characters, melee has advantage when you're attacking range characters, and range has advantage when you're attacking melee characters. So there's three different attack types. You can switch them out. You can still overwhelm your opponent without switching them out because the multiplier is only 0.1. It's not that high. So if let's say you are ranged, it's 0.9. So it's not a big difference. It's 0.1 multiplier of a difference, which isn't that big. So you can sometimes just ignore it and just go ham onto these people and they just die anyway. But yeah, that's the general basics of combat. So attack has melee attacks have a few different types. They have let me switch to my melee attacker. There we go. They have stab, they have slash, and block. Stab increases your accuracy, if I'm not mistaken. Slash increases your damage, and then block gives you more defense. This is for melee combat. This is the most basic form of combat that you can get. Ranged combat has accuracy increase as well. Let me go to range character. So they have accuracy increase. They have rapid attack, which means it decreases your attack interval, and they have long range, which increases your attack but also increases your defense a little bit, not much. And magic has also a few different styles of attack and combat. They have just magic, just one single style. They don't increase your attack, reduce your attack intervals, increase speed. They don't do that. They just increase magic damage, or the defensive one, which increases both magic damage and gives you a bit of extra defense. So when you use any of these attack styles, they also impact how your skills grow. So if you use melee attacks and you use the strength type attack grows. You use the stab type, the stab type attack grows. You use defense across, doesn't matter melee, range, or magic, defense will grow. HP will always grow as long as you take damage or you eat food. HP will grow. Prayer will grow as you use prayers, which is a specific special skill. And then Slayer will grow as you do Slayer tasks. So that's about it for combat in a gist. It's a bit more complicated than that, but you guys can probably explore that by yourself. But yeah, there's a few ways of doing it, few different combinations, but ideally there's just 3 different attack styles, and among the 3 attack styles there's some customization. There's also further customization in terms of being a wizard, for example. You can use a wand with a book. You could use a wand with a shield. You can use a 2-handed staff. Yeah, there's a few different combinations to do that for a wizard. If you are a melee fighter, you can use a 1-handed with a shield. You can use a 2-handed weapon. So the 2 different ways of doing it. As for a ranged attacker, you can use a bow, a bow, a 2-handed bow, a long bow. You can use a crossbow with a shield. You can use a short bow as well. Or you could use javelin, which is another, just 2-handed sort of ranged melee attacking weapon. It's just javelins. You throw javelins at your enemies. And if you use anything like bows, you have to have what do you call these, arrows, and if you use crossbows, you have to have bolts. Crossbows are higher level weapons because bolts are expensive. You need to use jewels to craft them, but they do a lot of damage, and you can go and use them with the shield, so they also give you a huge defense boost. So this combination that I have right now across all these 3 are pretty strong. Y'all pretty beefed out. And as you can see down here, we have the summonings that you include as part of your combat. You can also include that as part of your non-combat skills, so it's up to you how you want to use them. But you can also see there's a few other equipment slots here. This one, as you can see, is if you are using ranged attacks, you can put your ammunition there. But if you're a melee or magic attacker, it's kind of useless. Up here you have consumables. Not really consumables, sorry. What is it called? It's called... God damn it, I can't remember. I think it's consumable, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's the one where you can have some kind of item that you consume per attack, and it gives you certain buffs, and you lose 1 per attack, so you'll be having quite a bit of them to use. This item here is your headgear, your what do you call this, neck gear, your body gear, your leggings, your boots, your arm, your ring. Here you have the new gem slot that came with the Atlas of Discovery. Here you have a cape, and then here you have a passive slot. And this passive slot has been really useful because there are certain capes and items that you can add to your passive. Like for example, I can equip the Ragnar God body plate or plate body while using the Slayer plate body as a passive, because Slayer plate body goes into the passive slot as well. And this is huge because it gives me a lot of buffs, and it kind of really helps me with my gameplay overall. Of course, you can also have something simpler in your passive, like a ring, and that's also pretty cool. But yeah, that's generally something to note. But yeah, these are the equipment slots. You can explore them for yourself. But that's quite a bit to combat. There's also basic combat areas where you can just go for, you want to gain certain resources. Slayer areas where you can level up your Slayer points and get some resources. But again, if you want to get Slayer, what do you call this, Slayer credits, you have to do the Slayer task down here. Doing this alone will just give you Slayer level, and it'll give you what do you call this, the items that are these monsters can drop. For example, this one drops fragments. You can just farm this indefinitely, but I recommend doing the task here instead, because that way you get the the Slayer credits as well. And then last one is dungeon. These are the most fun ones because they go progressively. You have to do a dungeon at least once to know what are all the monsters hidden inside. You can't just click it and see the monsters, so that's kind of cool because it's kind of mysterious in a way. And some monsters are scary. There are mods that help you reveal what monsters are inside, but I don't have those, so that's just something to note. And you can still see the reward, which is a chest, and all these rewards are RNG based. That's one of the downsides of dungeon. You don't really know what you're going to get. I do have a mod that reveals the drop chances. So that's kind of awesome. I enjoy that. But not everyone has this. So if you see Ancient Rune drop 10 times, don't think it's always going to drop. It may never. It'll instead say something like common, uncommon, rare, very rare. It'll say something like that. So you'll see those. So the very rare ones are like really, really low. It's like 1 in 500. So you do this 500 times, you have a chance of getting 1. Of course, it's not so simple because, it's RNG. You could get it all 500 times. If you're the luckiest guy in the world, I suggest you go and buy the lottery instead. But yeah, this is the basics of combat. Now, passive, as you can see, Township is added to passive as well. Farming is one of it. So these are skills that you can allow it to progress even while you're doing anything else, which is why this is the true idle passive stuff. I can unlock new slots, huh? Okay, let's just unlock those, sure. I didn't know these things came about, but looks like donating these new clay pots allows me to unlock them. So that is kind of cool. You unlock some of these as well. And for the trees, anything to unlock? Nothing for trees. So it's just herbs and food. Yeah, so these are farming. You get to farm food, you get to farm herbs, you get to farm trees. All of these three you'll use for various stuff. Oh yeah, in fighting, you need to have food equipped. That's what's going to allow you to heal. When you start off the game, this is not going to run automatically. You have to manually heal, which is why the game will throw you a warning when you're trying to go offline during combat, because you can die and you will lose all your items. Later on in the shop, you will see an upgrade that will allow you to sort of level up your food and eating and auto eat, and that auto eat feature will be stuck here forever after that. And it's massive. Once you get auto eat, you can actually passively play the game for combat, and that is huge because passive combat, I think, was one of the things that brought players back to the game, because a lot of players realized that it's so difficult to passively play the game, an idle game, if you can't passively fight enemies. And yes, you do have to agree to the fact that you can still die while in passive combat, but at least this encourages people to have the right setup and allow the game to play passively for however long until the character sort of either dies or you come back in time to save them. And that's, I think, really, really helpful. And Township, as I said, the new mod, which has a lot of passive things going on. It's basically a transactional based game where you can do these achievements and you get items and unlocks, and it sort of helps you as you play this passively. And it gives you quite a bit of help. Township tasks are pretty strong, as you can see. They give me quite a lot of useful items, but most importantly, the trader, which you unlock as you play in Township, is one of the best things in this mode because it allows you to trade stuff that you gain passively from Township to get items that help you for the rest of the game. So one of the better stuff you can get is the consumable enhancer with the right consumables, because they boost the way your consumables work. So for example, let me just get like 1,000,000 of these, go to my bank, go to my consumables, and for example, I have the alchemist pack. It says 10% chance to preserve potion charges plus 5 charges per potion. I think this is the best consumable in the game because this thing allows you to preserve potion charges, and potions is something you use across all your skills. If you have the right potion for it, you always want to have it equipped. So for example, I have potions for combat, I have potions for cooking, potions for mining, smithing, and all that. So this is like the best consumable because you can have it equipped for any of your character, any of your slots across all, and use it across all your skills. So I can upgrade this by using the consumable enhancer, which I buy from Township, and I want to use, let's say, all of it. And there we go, we upgraded all of it. We get Alchemist Bag 2. And equipping this will give me 15% chance to preserve potion charge and plus 8 charges per potion. And this is huge because these allow me to reduce my time needing to do to spend my what do you call this inventory to get more potions, needing to worry about equipping potions over time and losing them. I don't have to worry about that at all because the Alchemist Bag will make sure I get a lot more potion charges. And potions are sort of the best buffs you can have across all of the things in the game. So this is pretty awesome, at least for me. I'm sure there are different people play their consumables differently. There are other consumables that they prefer, like for example the minus 2-second monster respawn timer. Some people like that. If this thing can be enhanced, I would probably use it, but it can't be enhanced, and so I'm not using it. But I'm sure there are other consumables that are still good across the board. But anyway, this is Township. It's a transactional based passive game, and I really like it. It's been fun so far. The downside to it is that some of these tasks are really, really difficult. You can skip the casual tasks, but you can't skip all the other higher level tasks. As you can see, I have 2 more elite tasks to do, and it's been such a difficult grind. Getting the Ancient Ring of Mastery is one of the most difficult things. You can only get it by doing fishing, and you have to just fish indefinitely for it. It takes forever. But yeah, that's Township. Moving on to the non-combat skills. These are pretty straightforward. Woodcutting is cut trees, level up. You can cut more trees, level up. And trees are used for other stuff. Fishing, fish into different spots, level up. Fish in more spots, level up. You get different kinds of fish which you can cook, and you can use those for food, and you can use these to craft other stuff as well. Firemaking, the trees you chop can come into here to actually help you burn logs. Burning logs gives you XP for the log burning itself. It also gives you the what do you call this, chance to get charcoal and a chance to get coal, which you need to use for other stuff, especially for smithing, which uses a lot of, let's say you want to get a bar. There you go, tin ore, copper ore, steel bar, or gold ore. Wait, let me see. Is this one? Oh yeah, there we go. As you go to mithril and higher, I think adamantite and whatever, you will need to use coal ore, and coal ore is only obtainable through firemaking. So one of the main reasons you want to do it. The other main reason, of course, is to get the firemaking skill cape as soon as you can, and get level. You want to get 95% plus for this to get the +5 global mastery. Let me just claim this and see. I'm not close enough. I need a bit more to get it. But yeah, it's probably something I can just do right now. Let me just burn. Should I burn Mystic? Yeah, let's just burn some Mystic logs. But yeah, this will allow me to unlock the +5% global mastery at above 95%. And also when you reach 99 level, you also get plus 0.25% global mastery. Firemaking skill cape also gives you global mastery. So firemaking sort of helps you with everything else. But yeah, that's one thing. Cooking, cook stuff, get food, eat it, and it helps you to heal during combat. That's about it. Mining, different types of ores for different types of crafting, pretty straightforward. Smithing, smith stuff for crafting, pretty straightforward. Some new special items have shown up, but yeah, there's some pretty straightforward stuff here. Thieving, this is kind of interesting. You get to rob people, literally, play the thief style game. And as you rob them, you can see that they drop some unique stuff as well. So some of these people drop items that you can use to craft. Some of these people drop items that you can use to enhance things, level up things. Some rare items that you can straight away equip as equipment. For example, the Vampire Lot drops a lot of high level stuff, and the Vampiric Cloak, and the Masquerade Mask, and some consumables as well. So as you go to higher levels, you find more things that you can steal and gain. And if you get stunned while stealing, you lose some XP, so you have to have food prepared first before you go into it. So it's sort of like combat, but a little bit rewarding like lesser rewarding, but also so less difficult to do. Fletching, simple, craft bows, arrows for your archery. Crafting, you craft stuff that is not ore related. So if you have ores that you already crafted into bars, for example, then you can use some of them to craft some things, but most of these are leather related, ring related, jewel related, and you can craft certain consumables as well. So that's the idea of crafting here. Runecrafting is mostly for magic. It's specific to magic, but you do need to have certain runes to... Actually, no, you don't need to use them for anything. Yeah, you do need to use them for herbs and summoning. So it's very magic stuff. Herblore also is pretty magic related, but it's the best skill I think in the game because it gives you potions that you can use to boost all of your other skills. So this is like really huge, and you want to get this leveled up as fast as you can. Agility is very interesting. It's one of those weird skills in the game where you want to build an obstacle and you just want to complete it so you can have a passive that lasts you for the rest of the game. So you only want to level this up so you can unlock the later levels of obstacles, but once you have all of them unlocked, there's no reason to keep doing this other than for gold. And gold is, it's okay, 76,000 gold is nothing for me, so I'm not too bothered about it. But the most important thing is once you've unlocked a certain level of agility, you can pick a specific obstacle to select. So for example, at this level of agility, I can select which one I want to make active. I picked this one, Cliff Balance, because it gives me accuracy ratings, and I think I value this more than the rest of the other things. And as you can see, some of them give some downsides as well. So for example, this one gives me +1 prayer point cost for prayers, which doesn't concern me because I have too many prayer points. But for example, this one gives me -5 Slayer skill XP and -10% flat Slayer area of effect negation. So there's a give and take. Pros and cons, I guess, if you want to invest in one of these. You have to calculate and you can do your own math sort of to figure it out. But some of these things are pretty good overall. Like this is good for farming, but not so good when you are trying to take on higher level monsters. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Some of these are good for specific skills like crafting, stealthing, and so on. So you build those pillars to decide your passives, and you can click this to see all the passives that you gain from agility. So this is like the real skill that gives all passives, like across the board kind of passives. And that's pretty good. There's another skill that is that I'll go that it didn't bit. This is for summoning, and this is interesting because these are the sort of consumable that helps you attack when you're in combat. And they have synergies. Certain, what do you call this? Summons can go together. So first you unlock marks by doing certain skills. When you get the mark, you have a chance of unlocking that summon. Once you get that summon, you have to make at least one of them, and then you can level up your familiar. And here you can summon those familiar. You get the tablets. You add the tablets to your character, and you can keep fighting. So using your summons through combat or through certain skills and creating more of them is what levels them up. So you want to do it as much as you can to work on certain synergies, and you want certain familiars for specific synergies. For example, if you do a lot of Slayer tasks, Cyclops is the best one. And Cyclops, as you can see, works with a lot of other what do you call this, familiars to give you boost to your Slayer tasks in some way. So this one's like extra gold from Slayer tasks, extra lifesteal from Slayer tasks, minus 20% Slayer task monster accuracy, and so on and so forth. That's pretty interesting. Now that's for summoning. Astrology is another like passive modifier giver across all skills. You have to explore each and every one of them, and as you do them, you level up your passives overall. I think I have all the passives unlocked. So as you can see, it's a lot of passive modifiers, and that's kind of huge. And you want to reach that level eventually. You want to get 99 all of these. You want to unlock all of them. Wait, this is specifically for cartography? Oh, it is. Oh, let me just dump this. There we go. Just dump all as much as I can. So we'll study this because this is for cartography, a new thing. And that's going to be pretty fun. So, yep, that's for astrology. Alternate magic is very interesting. It's specifically to turn some items into other items. Like for example, I can turn these two into an unholy offering, whatever that is. I'll probably have to figure that out. But it's interesting because this is a new skill. This is a cursed offering. Huh. And I'll have to explore what those do. But this is useful just to convert stuff over time. But it's something that's very good once you unlock certain things like Superheat 4. Very, very strong skill because it allows you to turn, instead of turning one ore into one bar, you can turn one ore into 3, even higher levels, I think is 5. Wait, no, let me see. Something like meteorite. I think you can get 5 of some of these, right? Dragonite, 3. Wait, am I missing out the superheat? Oh, there we go. The superheat 5. There we go. I get 5 ores. So I can spend 1 ore to turn into 5 bars. Sorry. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So certain things are pretty good. Not everything. You have to sort of work that out, pros and cons for yourself. Bless Offering is pretty good early on because you can just turn the runes into prayer points straight up. And farming runes is super easy. So you can get like millions of prayer points this way, and that's what I did. This is why I have like 312 million prayer points. Just insane, but I did it through alt magic mostly, so it's a good way to use it. Let me see. Do I need to get any more of these? No, I don't. I don't want to do this. This is crazy. I have too many prayer points. Now we have Cartography, the new mode where you can explore a region, and as you explore it, you may find and unlock certain things in that area. Let's see. Can I travel here? Can I survey this? There we go. So you travel to a certain area, you survey a certain point. After you complete surveying it, you may find certain things interesting about it, like for example the Castle of Kings, which I read earlier. And that's kind of cool. You unlock things within the game, and that also has you a chance of finding a dig site. For example, dig sites will have these symbols. So there's a few different. You can also filter them, which is pretty cool. As you can see, undiscovered dig site, point of interest, dig site, point of interest, active point of interest. This one shows the hex grid only, shows the survey progress, shows the hex mastery, and shows the ports. And yeah, you have all these markers. This is amazing. This whole game mode has been pretty impressive so far. So that's for the basics of exploring the map. The other thing you can do here is actually create a dig site map. So once you've found a dig site, you can create a map for it. You have to farm paper first, turn any log into paper, use the paper to create a map location, and then once you found a map, you can see the tier starts off as poor. So you can upgrade it to make it higher tier, and higher tier maps allow you to find items faster when you do archaeology. Then you can refine the maps that you've created to add a certain buff to it. If the map is a higher tier, you can add more buffs to it. So you want something like a perfect map. For example, let's see. The first map you usually find is usually an excellent map. And as you can see, I can add way more refinements to it. So for example, for quarry, I'm going to add tiny artifact. I can still add more, as you can see. Preserve dig site excavations. And then I can add another buff. Let me add something like large, for example. There you go, 3 buffs, because it's an excellent tier. And that's one way you can get more buffs. So once you have your map, once you have it, buffed out, what do? You go to Archaeology, you go to that specific dig site, and then you select the types of tool that you want to use. Now each of these tools give a specific buff. This one increases your chance of finding tiny items. This one gives you small items. This one gives you medium. This one gives you large. As you can see, the percentage decreases as you select more items. So if you've found, let's say, all the tiny, all the small, all the medium, you only want to find large artifacts, or let's say you only want to find medium and large, you remove these two and you leave the distribution between medium and large. If you only want to find large, this one. You only want to find medium, this one. So you refine it that way with your tool. You select the map, and then you click excavate, and then you can see what you get over time. Once you found the item, you go to the museum, and you click on the respective item. It will have a unique logo to show that you found them. Click on it, and it will unlock that. It gives me gifts over time, but I can't see how it decides that. There's no way of me seeing it. There might be a mod that reveals it, but whatever. I'll go blind for this one, at least the first time, and then see how that goes. So that's generally it, the basics of all of these game modes. Music is just a new mod that I added, which I haven't really tested. I might remove it, kind of break some other mods that I have, so yeah. But anyway, let me go to my mod manager and show you how mods work. Now, mods is also one of the things that keeps Melvor alive, because a lot of mods create a lot of QOL changes to the game that the devs themselves didn't have time to do, or felt it would be too game breaking, or felt they didn't really want to do it, or something like that, that the player base thinks otherwise, so they just have the opportunity to have the mod which becomes optional for players who actually want it. And this is important because sometimes the devs know that, hey, they want to make certain QOL stuff, but they don't want to make the game too easy. But for certain players, they feel that it's fine, or some other players feel that, no, I still want that QOL. And so what happens is players get to build their own mods, and then players who want that mod alone can select it. And I really think that's kind of good. It really helps the community overall. So here's the thing. These are mods that are also approved by Melvor themselves. So it's safe to go ahead and download these. Just remember that some of these mods could be outdated. As you can see, some of these, as you can see, has a warning here, which tells you that it's for an older game version. Now we're running 1.2, so you could get certain bugs if you use those mods, so be wary. And some of those mods will also straight up give you warnings that tell you that it may not work with certain other mods. So you want to do your research before installing any of these mods. You can also sort these mods by the trending, the most popular, the most subscribers, and that's a great way of seeing what's the most used mods in the game. So what I use I use this really, very powerful mod called Unlimited Offline. As you can see, a lot of these are outdated, but I'm not worried because they still work. And there's a way for me to just make sure that as long as it's working, it's fine. But Unlimited Offline is very powerful because that means that normally the game has a 24-hour cap to offline progress, which means after 24 hours, if you log in, your progress is capped at 24. So you don't get any progress beyond that. But this thing removes that cap, and that's very, very huge. So yeah, that's the first thing you want to keep in mind. Okay, I had to catch my breath there. Quite a lot of talking, but I hope you guys are getting as much info as you need. I just want to go through it as fast as I can because there's a lot of things to go through. As you can see, it's quite a huge game. But it has been fun for me to just talk things through and explain to you guys. Again, this is still surface level information because this is so much for you to explore, but I want to make it as spoiler free as I can. So for those of you who want to pause at certain frames and then check certain things out from the screenshots of certain moments that I've shown, certain notes or whatever, you can pause it if you like to. But my suggestion is just, take my sort of summary and then jump into the game as soon as you can because it's pretty enjoyable. So the mods again. Unlimited offline is very, very powerful because it removes the cap. The second thing is multitasking. Now this is the mod that really sped up the game for me without ruining it completely. And why this is important is there are certain mods that allow you to skip the time in the game. And I think it's absolutely broken because you could straight up set a thing to idle and then skip through it like 24 hours, 48 hours, and you're done. You're done with the task. So that you can do it immediately, and so there's like no real, like, you don't feel your character doing anything, right? It's not like you feel the progress. Multitasking is unique because you're just able to do like train multiple disciplines passively over time. So you feel like you're still doing all the work. Your character's still putting all the work, and the time taken is the same. It's just that you do things concurrently. So you get the experience of doing it over time, but at the same time. So you can level up crafting and fletching at the same time. And it's kind of cool in a way where you can smith for certain arrow tips, and you can fletch those arrow tips at the same time. So you have to time it. There's a bit of strategy involved in how you want to multitask certain things. So I think it sort of adds that kind of passive game mode mentality where you want to have things organized to multitask in a certain way. And for me, that's fun. I think being able to plan that out is pretty fun. So credits to Korgan, if I'm saying that right, to come up with this kind of mod, which doesn't really ruin the, like sort of idle experience, but it allows you to do multiple things. As you can see, he's doing woodcutting, fishing, firemaking, cooking all at the same time. This mod changed the game for me, absolutely, because it sped up the game, but not too much. It didn't allow me to skip things, but it allowed me to do things at the same time. And I think that's really, really fun. This thing does have its limits though. You can only train one mode of combat at a time. So combat is always going to be one, thing fighting at a time. But it's really helpful for the non-combat skills because you can do all at once. Warning though, it does make the game pretty heavy. So unless you have the RAM to handle it, I recommend you be very, very careful in multitasking too many things at once. But it's a very fun game mode, and I think a very fun mod, and I think it will help a lot of people who feel the game is a little too slow to speed up, but without needing to skip anything. And that experience is pretty fun. Pokeworld. Now, I'm a huge fan of Pokemon, so the moment I saw this mod existing, I just immediately picked it up. And what it does, it allows you to play multiple skills, and you have a chance of finding certain Pokemon. And those Pokemon actually give you a passive. Now, where the Pokemon get added is here. You go into your pets, and as you can see, these are the regular pets that you find by doing stuff. Throne of the Herald pets, Atlas of Discovery pets. But here we go. You do these certain tasks here, like for example, fishing. These are fishing task pets. These are fletching task pets. And that way you get all the 151 Pokemon from the base Pokemon game, which I absolutely adore. I'm a huge fan of. And if you're lucky enough to solve the puzzle, you might even get a certain mystery missing no, which I'm not going to explain how to get, but yeah, you can figure that out. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in the Poke World, but what they generally do is they add passives that help you boost your overall game. It's not very much, as you can see, it's 1%. Certain things give you 1%, certain things give you 0.5%, certain things reduce some intervals. And so the passives are not absolutely huge. If I were to click, let's say any of my combat stuff here just to see the passives, as you can see, I have a lot of passives, but not a lot of these are from Pokemon. A lot of these are from agility, what do you call this, astrology, and my equipment and stuff like that. So if I were to click something like hidden attack level, as you can see, astrology pets, brews, and then items, blood chalice. So most of these things are from the game itself. But if I were to go something like max hit, there you go, 3% melee max hit, Charmeleon, Charizard, Charmander, each give 1/1/1, which is not much, but it's really fun. It gives me like a way to strengthen my character just by having these cool little Pokemon pets, which I absolutely adore. And so it's one of those game modes that the moment I saw it, I just picked it up. Sorry, mod, as I saw it, I picked it up. Yeah. All these semi-mods are really good. You can take all of them. There are certain mods which I did not take because it's redundant, I feel, and some of them they do too many things. Like some of them take the food stacks and whatnot. I felt it's whatever, not too important for me, so I didn't take those. Some of those auto sort stuff, I can sort those manually, so I didn't take those. But as you can see, I took a lot more of them, which helped me auto certain things like mastery, auto farming, the food farming, the bonfire, which makes sure that even if I run out of potions to light up the fire, I still have the auto bonfire, which sort of in a way helps me to burn some logs. And again, this is fine because it still consumes my logs. It just prevents me from needing to come online to click the button and go off. So it just helps me in certain ways without ruining the overall gameplay experience. Auto Slayer is the same thing. Instead of needing to go online to click that button, this thing just clicks that button for you. So yeah, just some of those things. It doesn't really make the game easier per se. Auto Township, same thing, just heals your town when it's a little bit lower. Skill modifiers, ooh, they actually have an update. Sure, let's update this. I want to see what added AOD skill cape inherited. I see. Okay, sure, I'll see how that works. This is the skill modifiers which I'm using here that allows me to click the sort of category of whatever skill I'm doing and see the overall modifiers across that skill. So for example, if I go to summoning, I can click this and see all the modifiers that affect summoning. And it's a very, very nice mod to have. Really, really helpful. But yeah, it's kind of a cool mod to have, other than all the semis. The semi stuff you can explore through it when you want to. But as I said, they do certain things auto. I think the most broken auto abilities that the semi one has is auto runecrafting might be the most broken one. Because what it does, it allows your character to automatically mine and runecraft infinitely if you set it such. I don't use this as often, but it has really helped me at certain times when I want to just go offline passively and I'm worried that I'll forget to runecraft certain runes. This thing allows me to decide the number of runes I need for each different rune type and turn this thing on. So yeah, it's pretty fun that way. I don't have to just worry about it. But other than that, everything else is pretty passive. They're not too great game breaking, at least from what I feel. Skill modifiers is absolutely useful because it just improves the game, allowing you to see all the modifiers across. And even better is you get to actually check where those modifiers are coming from. So for example, if I have 12% to preserve potion charges, I can click more and see that I'm getting from Astrology Chemican Pet, I'm getting from the item Superior Max Skill Cape, and then I'm getting 2 more from Slowpoke and Slowbro. And this is really cool, being able to see this info. So that's for the what do you call this, modifiers. Now, item own indicator is just a nice QL where in the shop, when I want to go and check my shop items, I can actually just see if I already have that item instead of needing to purchase it again. So for example, skill capes, I can see that I've owned 4 of them. And just knowing that is kind of nice. It's just a little quality of life thing. It's just knowing stuff. It's not really changing anything as well. So yeah, I mean, unless you want to go to your inventory to always search for it, it's up to you. ETA. ETA is kind of interesting. It allows you to know how long it will take for you to master a certain skill the moment you start it. So it's just a nice way of me knowing that, okay, in order for me to achieve 100%, it's going to take 4 days, for example, and 21 seconds. And just having that info is kind of cool because I could, know that I got to come back to the game maybe in a day and 21 hours. So that's about 2 days. So I don't have to check the game for 2 days. I just come back in 2 days to know that everything is leveled up. And having that info really helps. So that's ETA. As for item uses, this is one of the better mods out there. It allows me to go to an item that I have in my bank and know what that item is used for before I decide to get rid of it. So for example, if I have, let's say a bone, where is it? There we go. Let's say I go to prayer, I have a bone. It tells me what the bone is used for other than just burying it. So I know that it's also used for melee accuracy potion. It's used for mountain climbing. So having that knowledge really, really helps. Give me a sec. Okay, moving on to the next mod. Just give me a sec. All right, moving on to the next mod. Let me see. Um, that is for the item uses, which has been super useful. Okay, kills in combat. This is nice. This is just a little QL where you can see the monster in your tasks or Slayer, doesn't matter, whatever it is. For example, you want to go and check how many times I've defeated the Aldrine Mage. And if I were to go to it, do I click fight or something? I think I have to click fight actually. Click fight. Do you say something? 2747, there we go. So we defeated it 2,747 times. I think that is correct. Or am I seeing it wrongly? But here it tells me how many times I've completed each of these, which is nice. Let's see, fight. So let me just defeat one of these just to see if the count increases. Shouldn't be long. I'm not using a spell. I'm relying on my my minions to do this. It's good practice. 1011. There we go. So it's 1011. 1012, yeah, there we go. So it allows me to know how many times I've defeated a specific monster, just a little QL thing, but that's kills in combat. Moving on to dungeon completion count, that's the other one that you saw, the number of times a dungeon is completed, so that's also a pretty nice mod that I've been enjoying. And it's also useful for me to identify certain tasks that you got to complete, because certain dungeons you have to complete 5 times to unlock the pet of that dungeon that gives you the passive. So that's important, because sometimes you, for example, one of these is from completing one of the dungeons, right? Let me see. Pokemon, no. Ergot dungeon, there we go. So I've got to defeat the stronghold, dragon's den, the caves, dark waters, and all of these. So you have to do it a certain number of times. Usually it's 5, sometimes it's more. So having the count tracker there just helps me to know, okay, so I haven't done this, which is why I haven't got the pet. But yeah, that's that. Let's see. Slayer task attack style. This one just tells me what type of attack Slayer character is using, whether it's melee, range, or magic. You can still figure this out when you're fighting them, but this just allows you to know it before you jump to the enemy. It's just a little QL thing, not a real big difference. This is tiny passive icons. This one is for specifically for your archaeology and cartography, which is new. But they usually used to use it for agility and astrology. And this is important because agility and astrology are all about passives, right? For example, this is astrology, and here when you click into it, it actually just adds little icons here, which is kind of cute for you to know specifically what they are for. But yeah, it's just another QL thing again. Adds the little icons. But now they've added icons for cartography and archaeology, so yeah, that's very good. Thanks to that. Moving on to rune consumption. This is very, very useful. If you're a mage, you can see exactly how many runes overall you're using across all your spells. Otherwise, it just highlights it. I think this should just be part of the base game. I don't see why it shouldn't. But yeah, it's been there. Now and I've been using it forever, and it's been super helpful. Quick shards. This is just another amazing QL thing where let's say I want to use a specific number of shards to do summoning. What I normally have to do is go and buy those shards if I know it's not enough. So for example, I want to do occultist and I have 74,000 eyeballs, but I need to know how many summoning shards I need to even that out to finish all the eyeballs. So in this case, I have too many shards. Let me look for something where I don't have enough shards. Okay, there we go. I have 71 million Slayer coins. So to have equal number of shards to actually finish these Slayer coins, the quick buy shards calculates it for me, and I can just click this one button. It'll tell me the cost, and it'll buy these shards automatically for me to complete that task. And that's really, really awesome. So that's quick shards. It's a fun little mod there. Bank tab values is what I showed initially, where each of my tabs tell me how much of gold value the items there have. That's nice to know, actually. That's very nice to know. This is Slayer tier. This is something where each of the Slayer tasks have some hidden Slayer tier level. And it's just easy for me to identify them by using this. I don't know why this is also, again, not part of the base game. But it's nice that this is in a mod where I can just have it. And I've been having it ever since. Upgrade all potions is also a very nice quality of life thing. So usually what you got to do is go to your bank. You got to click on a specific potion that you have. And if it's lower level, you got to click on it. And you got to click the upgrade item and you got to select how many of those you want to upgrade. Now instead, all I got to do is press upgrade all potions. It upgrades all of it and clears off any balances. You can also have the option not to clear any balances, but it's very, very useful, very nice. Ooh, this is an interesting gem. Let me just lock this up, check this later. But yeah, I'm discovering new things, guys. But let's upgrade all potions. There's one more mod to downgrade all potions, and someone may be wondering, why would I want to downgrade the potions? Well, because there are certain township tasks that you can't complete unless you have lower levels of those potions. So this is kind of nice that you have these two mods. I don't need the downgrade so much because I sort of had the lower level potions, but if you want to downgrade it, you can get that mod. But upgrading just makes it easier because otherwise you have to upgrade them one at a time manually. This thing just does all, which is just super neat. This is combat indicators. This is a fun little one, which I just kept temporarily. I don't really need it as much because I never really struggled too much in dungeons, but it's nice to know that it has that functions. For example, this is a very difficult Slayer task, the Plague Doctor. If I jump to the enemy, let me just make sure I have everything equipped. Okay, if I jump to the enemy, I will be needing to know how much it takes for my auto eat indicator and for the enemy's damage indicator. So I can, as you can see, there's a new like indicator marker here, yellow one and a blue one. And what this does, the blue one tells me the auto eat threshold, which is now at 500, and the yellow one tells me the enemy's maximum hit. So the enemy could possibly in a single hit do enough damage to bring my HP down to the 326 marker, but thankfully I know that that wouldn't kill me, and so my auto aid will always save me. If this thing is all the way close to the end or close to a full HP bar, you don't want to take on that enemy because they're going to one-shot you. And so this is one good way I'm using to identify if the enemy is going to one-shot me um, without using any other simulation mod. This mod actually just helps me determine that. This is the new one, Myth Music. I haven't really played around with this. It was recently updated, so I actually just want to try it out to see how it works. Actually, let me just run from this and let me just test it out. Let me just go train a music here. So seems to be training my playing of guitar, and I will need to see how that works. Bard hire. I get to hire Bard to play music for me. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't actually play music. I have to play it from the background. Let me just play that back. But this might make sense if I'm actually running the background music while training my guitarist here. I should just play guitar songs to match with it. But if this mod actually allowed me to play actual music in the game, that would be pretty awesome. Right now, that's kind of unfortunate. Not really too much of a fan of it if it can't play actual music. Should I drop it? You know what? I'll drop it for now. I know it gives me some cool modifiers or whatever, but it's whatever. I have enough stuff to explore right now. And the last one that I recently added is show item sources and uses, which I really, really want to try. So let me just reload now, which is what I've been skipping for the past few turns. And let's see how that works. Initializing mod manager, fetching cloud saves. There we go. So as you can see, this is my last save. Let me just load that. Okay, welcome back. Cloud save successful. All right, let's see. So now there's a new mod that allows me to see items where they're discovered from. Item uses. So I got to click this one. Sources, none. Uses, none. Oh, that's pretty cool. But why is there no sources? Lost Justice have a source. Huh. I guess it only tells me the source if it's from a specific monster or something. Yeah, from a specific task. If it's a chest, it doesn't seem to show me where the source is. Kind of unfortunate. I would have liked to see where it's actually from. But this is still okay. Like, at least it tells me that the hammer is from the burning chest. And the burning chest is from the underground lava lake. So yeah, I think overall this is a decent mod to have, which I've just added. But that would be it for my mod. Let me just increase this because this value tier seems pretty good. Let me move it up to next to item uses, I think. Yeah, let me keep it next to this. And close this. And why it's asking me to reload one more time is because as you move the order of the mod, it actually decides which mod loads first. And this was more important back, like I'm talking like a few years back, because sometimes certain mods rely on other mods to work, and if one mod doesn't load first, the other mod can break. And one of the examples is semi-core. Semi-core is required by all other semi mods, and so you want to load this first. which if you don't, it could break the game. So you want to be careful with that. But yeah, that's it for modding. And that's about all that I can share about for modding, at least in basic terms. There are so many other mods that you can explore by going to the mod manager, going to browse, and then sorting by most popular. However you like to look for it. Last updated would also be nice. You can see the latest mods that have just recently been updated, all the new stuff, just so you can avoid the version clashing and whatnot. And always go to view on mod.io to read about the mod first before you decide to use it. As I said, some mods can cause your game to crash or break, and you want to be prepared for it mentally before that happens. But yeah, as you can see, my multitasking mod is really kicking in. I'm able to do firemaking while I'm doing astrology and archaeology, and it's pretty amazing. And that's about it, all I can share for now regarding mods in the game. Other than that, my review overall, as I said, this is a really amazing game. If you ask me, it is the best idle game I've ever played. I've played quite a number of idle games, I would say, but this is just hands down the best one. So many things to do. It's like you're playing so many different games at the same time, just through all these different modes. And the way these modes relate to each other allow you to use one to learn the other. There's a lot of strategizing involved. And once you unlock multitasking, there's even more strategizing involved because you can figure out how to line up your tasks. So they all finish around the same time. They all work in tandem. They build certain consumables to use in combat and whatnot. It's really fun. It's kind of interesting. You may think that, oh no, multitasking is going to ruin it. No, it doesn't. It just makes it even more fun for me. But it's a good thing it's an option. So if you don't want it, of course, you can just not use mods and you can just go all in. Good luck. I'll see you guys in 5 years when you completed everything, because that's, I think, roughly how long it takes a player who doesn't use any mods. Unless I know some people have managed to speedrun the game. I think the fastest is like 2 months or something, but you have to continuously tweak things and you gotta have everything timed. You have to set your alarm clock to wake up at a specific time to change things. So if you're able to do that like a psychopath, it's absolutely fine. Good luck, but I don't have the luxury of time, so I speed things up with a little bit of QL stuff, and it's fun that way. Abandoned vein mine in cartography. You know what, let me just explore some of these other stuff. As you encounter an island teeming with seemingly friendly monkeys, your misconception shatters when they cunningly snatch away portions of your precious ship's food supply. You gain the following bonus until you travel again. Ooh, yikes. Let's travel again. Sure. There we go. We lose that. Point of interest is covered. So that's like a negative one, but I want the negative one to be a dungeon. That'll be pretty fun. Gain 2000 holy dust. Oh no, more prayer points. 100 medium earn. Here we go. Another point of interest. Discover a humble hut sitting on a lonely island. Structure appears to be made of natural materials. With a thatched roof and wooden walls, it's a charming and peaceful sight, and you wonder who might call this place home. It's very nice, very wholesome. But yeah, there's a lot more points of interest to look at. You are in awe as you explore ancient magical ruins. The ancient magical ruins. The elaborate engravings in the standing stones showcase the remarkable talent of the visit who once inhabited the site. However, the potent magic that once permeated the areas has vanished, replaced with a sinister and ominous aura. Again, rune essence. Ooh, that's cool. Oh, this is a long one. Shimmering Sands Outpost. You discover a seemingly endless sea of sand that stretched on as far as the eye can see. Just as you begin to feel like you can't take another step, you notice an outpost that appears on the horizon. Upon reaching the outpost, you're warmly welcomed by the locals who invite you to take a break and rest. Locals provide you with such great knowledge, and traveling these areas efficiently seems to be useful for your future adventures. Minus on cartography travel costs. Now I'm able to do this because I have a lot of gold, but if you guys don't, be mindful of your gold consumption. Whoa, that's a lot of amulets. Holy crap. Just when you think you can't go on, Oasis appears on the horizon, shimmering like a mirage. You draw near and discover a sparkling pool encircled by a lush palm trees. While relaxing in their shade, you unexpectedly find a small chest of gleaming treasure. Ooh, that's awesome. Shrouded Badlands. The stench of the undead permeates the air as you traverse the Badlands. Dark shadows stretch down from the ridges in the rock, concealing lurking horrors, malevolent creatures prowling the silent and cunning and formidable, hungrily waiting to feast upon your unsuspecting prey. You hear the distant howl from some unknown beast, causing a chill to run down your spine. I should get a battle here. That's what should happen, right? I should get a battle, which would be pretty fun and awesome. Treacherous North. You know what? I'll skip through some of these, but I'll read them later on at my own leisure. But I guess you guys can see how cartography allows me to explore all of these things. And I got a special key, huh? Ooh, interesting. I'll have to know what that does in a bit. A lot of ores from this one. But yeah, that allows me to unlock this thing. I think the key was needed for this. Oh, that's kind of cool. So yeah, I've been enjoying this update so far, as you guys can see. I highly recommend if you have not picked up Melvor Idol to do pick up the base game with the full version first, explore it, have fun, and then pick up, if you ask me, Atlas of Discovery is hands down the better expansion compared to Throne of the Herald. Although Throne of the Herald is more fun if you're a more dungeon specific player, you want to have more tasks to challenge yourself, especially being Throne of the Herald being the most difficult dungeon still. I think it's good to for more experienced players to pick up Throne of the Herald. But newer players, Atlas might be more fun. If you ask me, get all of it. It's all great. But yeah, thanks for watching. For those of you who haven't picked up the game, as I said, please do. You can have this passively playing in the background while you're watching these videos, and that's kind of fun. And I'm not sure if I'll ever do another coverage of this game again, but it's just something I wanted to share about my passive experience. I have been playing so many games on this channel, and this has been one game that I have been playing in the passively in the background, which I haven't really talked about. I did want to make this like a coverage of this earlier, but I didn't have enough knowledge. Now I feel I do, since I have maxed out most of my stuff, and there's still so much more to learn because I have cartography and astrology, sorry, archaeology now. So there's more things to explore, more things to learn, and it's kind of fun. But yeah, that's it for this one. See you guys in the next. Do take care and have fun.